Okay, well, hello everybody. Welcome to Circuit Stream Game Development Bootcamp Pitch Day. Today we are celebrating the graduation of our game development February cohort. It started in February and they have just graduated and finished up their capstones. Today's event will feature several industry professionals who are keen to hear the student pitches, and a lot of our recent graduates from the Game Development Bootcamp and several members from the community and public who are also watching. So thank you so much for attending in the audience. And I'm very excited for you to see our next generation of game developers. Okay, so I just wanted to mention a few things before we begin. Today's event will be approximately 2 hours, though only our partners and presenters are the ones that can go up on stage to speak. All attendees are welcome to participate in the chat, so feel free to ask questions, give comments, feedback, or whatever else. And throughout the pitches, we will be playing some embedded YouTube videos. These will be played at full volume on your end. So just be prepared to adjust your own volume on your computer as we play the slides, as the volume will vary. And lastly, just a reminder to our guest speakers, please make use of the moderator chat for internal comments and the general chat for anything else. And let's get started. Okay, so I want to start by introducing myself. Hi, everybody. I am Tia. I'm the lead career coach here at Circuit Stream, and it's such a pleasure to welcome you to our Game Development Pitch Day. My role is to support the students in building job-ready portfolios, mastering the job search process, and showing up with clarity and confidence whenever they're connecting with employers. And I also do work closely with our internal team here to ensure that students are showcasing their strongest selves and that our events highlight the incredible talent that we have in this community. Next, I'll just get Manur to come up and introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Manur, and I take care of partnerships here at Circuit Stream. So essentially, my main goal is to help our job seekers in our career programs land jobs, build connections, and just get themselves out there as much as possible through mentorship and whatnot. We have a whole bunch of guest speakers here today that are working in some gaming industries, game designers, game developers. So I hope that everyone is able to connect, chat, and just go from here about the gaming industry and maybe some potential partnerships as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Manur. I'll just quickly go over our schedule today. So this is in Mountain Time, but we have started the event at 1. And I'm just kicking that off, and then we'll get into partner introductions. So people, our guest speakers here will just introduce a little bit about what they do and a little bit about themselves. And then I will introduce the capstone project and then our graduate pitches. So then we'll just wrap up the event. And so just be prepared to be here for 2 hours, and same to everybody in the audience. So I just want to provide some background on us. Circuit Stream began in 2015 through a network of developers, designers, creators, and now we are a leading provider of technology education in the game development and game design, product management, and software development streams. And our primary goal is just to provide future-proofed and industry-relevant skills to folks that are looking to pivot into tech. They're looking to maybe upskill or learn about those technical aspects of these industries. And our secondary goal is to prepare our bootcamp graduates for jobs in their preferred industries. And we do that through events, one-on-one connections, and engaging with our extensive network of employer partners. And since our start in 2015, we've educated over 50,000 learners globally. And we're constantly updating our curriculum to stay ahead of the curve. So exciting things. We've also partnered with top universities. So Circuit Stream is also educational partners with several top universities across North America to provide technology education for both youth and adult learners. And these are just a few of them. And in terms of our talent network, we also, in parallel to the technical programs, we offer to provide optional career program to our bootcamp students, which is what I run. And this program provides ongoing support for students who are excited to start job hunting right after graduating and are prepared to find a new job. And through this program, we're committed to supporting our students with their careers, their personal development, and we take pride in being able to provide those opportunities and connect our learners with industry partners and networks. So for the businesses that are in attendance today in the audience, we are always looking to expand our network of employers who we reach out to for events, talent opportunities, and more. So if you are interested in joining our talent network, please reach out to Manor through this email that is on the slide. So we would love to talk to you about how we can include you in some of the things that we do here. Okay, so now it's time to introduce our guest speakers, and I'll call them each up one by one to introduce themselves. So partners, when I call you up, join the stage, give us a rundown of where you work, what you do, and a little bit of background about your career so far, and just anything that you'd like to share with the presenters today. So first we have Michael Tapley. Can you please come up and join the stage and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Man, I didn't realize how dorky I look in that picture. Glad I sent it.
You look awesome.
Cool. So yeah, my name's Michael. I'm currently the director of game design for a very small studio here in Seattle called Reflection Games. It was actually founded by the original CEO of Big Fish Games, which is still around, pretty massive mobile game developer, but makes games that are casual puzzle games. But I also worked at Big Fish Games. So just really quick on how I got started. I went to school for music production and decided I didn't want to do that as a career. So I started pursuing games. I moved to Seattle in 2012, and I just annoyed a lot of people until someone gave me a job as quality assurance. And then I just worked my way into game design, and I am where I am now. So I've been in the industry for just about 11 years now. And yeah, I think that's all the important stuff at the moment.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I like how you talked about, your networking skills and working your way up, because that's a lot of what I talk about with the students. So it's nice to hear you say that works, because that's what I've been trying to tell them too. So yeah, I think that's awesome. I love that you were able to work your way in and do something that you're passionate about. So thank you for sharing.
Of course.
Okay, so next we have Tony. Tony, can you please come up and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Tony Munoz. I am a game developer, a content creator, and a mentor. I run my own studio that I founded in Calgary, in Canada, in 2013, and a YouTube channel to inspire people transitioning into the industry, not only with the technical skills, but also through the strategies that many developers, successful developers, use to differentiate themselves from the rest. I started coding many years ago in the 80s with BASIC. Graduating in electronics, took a long path through non-game coding careers. And in 2013, I decided to commit fully to the games. I began working with iOS, with Unity, play a little bit with Blender and ASprite. For the last 5 years has been entirely dedicated to Unreal. I've contributed to different types of games, from indie projects to AAA budgets, some external, some of my own studio. And after a massive layoff, I left. I started creating first courses on Udemy and partnering with educational programs. And today I have to say that I'm very lucky to dedicate myself full time to inspiring, mentoring, developing personal games, and growing day by day, as doing what I love, which is video game. As a player, I have gone from Atari, the console of the 80s, to VR. I love third-person shooters. I love action games, but I have a weak spot for League of Legends. And I'm here because I always like to connect, see what others, new talents, are doing, make a small contribution, and feel the hope that new game developers will bring to the table. I do what I do because I want to leave the gaming industry in a better place than it is today.
Oh my God, that is so inspiring. Thank you for sharing your story, Tony, and some of the things you said. I'm absolutely inspired by. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay, so we have a few more guests to go. We have Sean McDonald. Do you want to come up and talk a little bit about what you do?
There we go. Now that should work. Just confirming everybody can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you. You're all good.
Perfect. Like others here, I started as a novice game designer in the late 80s, writing code in BASIC and using ASCII for graphics. Among my various educations, I have a formal education in game design with a focus on something called neurogamification, which is a fancy way of saying behavioral conditioning and retention and rewarding based game design. The specialty includes elements of user experience design using conveyance and heuristics, which is a fancy way of saying show, don't tell. You'll see that companies like Nintendo are really, really good at that sort of thing. The fastest example I could think to sort of showcase what that means is for me to do this. Right? And most of you know what comes next. So when you build games that show, don't tell, it creates infinitely better user experiences, and it usually makes the consumers or gamers or hobbyists feel like they belong in that world. Where else? I spent a few years off and on teaching game design, UX, UI design, level design, systems design. I've collaborated with lead developers behind World of Warcraft, Age of Empires, and Titan Quest. Brilliant people, great stuff. I started probably about a decade and change ago as a senior game designer, became a systems designer because I'm a math nerd and I like gameplay balancing. And so the League of Legends people here will definitely agree that a well-balanced game, or at least the illusion of one, is providing great user experiences across the board. Most recently, I was a VR MMORPG designer, lead game designer for that project, and a gameplay producer for AI augmented game design. So nobody likes AI, but if you're using it to supplement your design skills, it can do a lot and make you very productive. Currently, I'm leading a small team of highly skilled Pareto individuals here in Calgary, Alberta, developing what we believe to be is the first 4X ARPG with semi-simulation elements. So that's currently what I'm up to.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I think that you've used all your transferable skills and everything you do, which is so great. And I was intrigued by the whole neurogamification thing. So I like that you were able to explain that in more simple terms. And yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. We have one more guest speaker. We have Amit. Amit, can you quickly just join the stage and tell our audience what you do?
Of course. Hello, everyone. I'm Amit Ramanuj. I'm the senior game designer. I've been doing this for past 15 years. I transitioned from engineering to game design because I wanted to design the games and then build them after that. These days, I get to design new games and experience that are highly engaging and immersive, while also satisfying the business goals of the studio. And once I have the design ready, I get to convince my team to build them, and also I help them build them as well. Yeah, and that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm so excited to have all of you here today. And I know that the students really value what you bring to the table and your experiences. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. I'm just going to quickly jump into what the Game Development Bootcamp here is like, just to give some people in the audience some insight into what the students are learning and what they're doing. So In terms of the Game Development Bootcamp, it's a 30-week intensive program where students dive deep into Unity 3D, and they don't just learn theory, they build real playable games, and they work in teams, and they get exposure to every step of the game development pipeline. And throughout this program, they receive ongoing career coaching, mentorship, and one-to-one support to prepare for their transition into the industry. And at the end of the boot camp, every student was challenged to bring their own idea to life. So from concept to code, and the goal was to create a product that demonstrates their technical and creative skills. Whether they worked, in solo or in teams, they applied every single thing that they learned, gameplay programming, integration, design, debugging, all those things to create a working prototype that is ready for industry feedback. And then we have Pitch Day. So Pitch Day is the highlight of the program. It's where all of their hard work, creativity, and learning come together. And over the past 30 weeks, these students have built incredible games from the ground up. And today they'll be presenting these projects live to all of you and sharing their concepts, design processes, challenges, and what they've learned along the way. And this event isn't just about showing a game, it's about showcasing their problem-solving skills, their innovation skills, which is what the game industry thrives on. So yeah, we're very excited for you to see the results of their journey and what the potential that each of them brings into game development. So we'll be seeing 6 pitches today, 7 minutes to pitch, and then 7 minutes of Q&A. So I will be inviting the guest speakers after the student has presented their pitch to ask questions, give feedback, all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, once the pitch is done, I will be inviting everybody up. But for now, I'll just get everybody to exit off stage, and we will have Gregory come up because he is the first one going up and presenting his pitch today.
All right, thank you very much, Tia. Today we'll be looking at my capstone project, which I have named Drone Wars. First off, a little bit about myself. My name is Gregory Kitching. I'm a programmer looking to get a job in the game development industry. I've had a passion for video games ever since I was a kid and knew I wanted to grow up to make them. This led me to the Circuit Stream Game Development Bootcamp, where I developed skills in working with Unity and C#. In addition, I have 2 years of experience in C++ development on an agile development team from my previous role at Evertz Microsystems, where I worked on Overture RT, a professional video compositing solution for large players in the broadcasting industry. I combined all of this experience into building Drone Wars. Drone Wars is a third-person action shooter where the player controls a remotely operated quadcopter. The player is tasked with breaking into a secure facility and destroying a brand new superweapon that is being developed there. As a drone, the player can move in all directions, including up and down, and can lock onto enemies and circle strafe around them to dispatch them more easily. The gameplay loop is therefore geared less towards one-on-one encounters and more towards dealing with large groups of enemies and dodging their fire. Once the player has defeated all enemies in a room or solved a puzzle, they can move on to the next part of the stage. The inspiration for this game came from multiple sources, but the two most influential were Kerbal Space Program and Descent. Kerbal Space Program is a game mostly about building and launching rockets, but you can also take your Kerbal pilots out on spacewalks where they use a jetpack to move around in zero gravity. The floaty flight controls was something I wanted to replicate in Unity, and in fact, the original concept for my game was a guy flying around in a jetpack. The second important inspiration for my game came in the form of an old DOS game called Descent, this time mostly for enemy design and the look and feel of the game, being a grungy, dystopian, futuristic setting where the player must battle a variety of robotic enemies in order to progress. My philosophy when it comes to game development is to write clean, scalable code so I can cleanly implement new functionality on top of old code without having to rewrite parts of my code base. I also push myself to have a deep understanding of the code I'm working with, whether it was written by me or not. That means not only being able to modify external libraries if it doesn't support the features I need, but also having the expertise to write my own libraries if needed. For Drone Wars, I specifically wanted to create my own custom player controller from scratch that had all the features I wanted. Once I knew what I wanted my game to be, I started working on the player controls to provide a base for the rest of the game. When I was satisfied that the controls felt floaty but not uncontrollable, I moved on to creating multiple kinds of enemies and the world they would inhabit. Once this was complete, it came time to turn the experience into an actual game, complete with user interface and audio, as well as any last little bit of polish that had needed to be viable. And here's a short video of Drone Wars in action. All right. Challenges. So I encountered multiple challenges during the development of this game. Excuse me. The first was getting movement mechanics implemented. I wanted to use a rigid body to take advantage of Unity's built-in collision detection, but I also wanted a fair degree of control over how the player moved. So I started by updating the position of the player's rigid body every frame as if I was controlling them kinematically. Excuse me. The result, as I would learn soon after, was that the player could go through solid objects almost as if they weren't there. After some debugging, I eventually came to the conclusion that by directly setting the position of the rigid body, I was effectively bypassing the physics engine, not giving it the chance to perform collision detection in the first place. I had to rework the movement mechanics to instead apply forces to the rigid body, but doing this broke my circle strafing implementation as it relied on being able to directly move the player to a point on a sphere around the target. I again had to fix this by applying forces in the direction of the point the player should be, though it is not an exact solution. There are also some enemies with more complex behavior that require the use of state machines to implement, such as the machine gun turret, which has separate states for its idle state, spinning up while preparing to fire, firing, and spinning down to idle. Some key takeaways I've arrived at are, in addition to gaining critical insights into physics-based player controls and a better understanding of quaternions, I learned never to set the position of a rigid body directly, usually. Next steps for not only this project, but my game development journey as a whole, are to gain more expertise in complex enemy AI systems, as well as level save systems and multiplayer netcode. More complex enemy behavior, such as pathfinding, I considered infeasible for this project, considering the time constraints and the fact that Unity's built-in pathfinding solution assumes entities are tied to the ground and not able to travel in 3 dimensions like the enemies in Drone Wars can. I also wanted to create a more proper save system that serializes and saves a state of every currently active entity in the game, rather than making assumptions about which enemies have been destroyed and puzzles solved based on the checkpoint the players reached. Lastly, I need to continue getting better at working with multiplayer netcode. I decided early on in the development of Drone Wars that it would not be a multiplayer game, as it would take too much time to debug the inevitable synchronization errors for the scope I wanted. But I would like to possibly rewrite the code to support multiplayer at a later date. Thank you for taking the time to learn about Drone Wars and my game development journey. I am excited to continue making high-quality gaming experiences, and I look forward to bringing my skill set to your team. I invite you to check out my portfolio on GitHub and connect with me on LinkedIn. I will now be answering any questions you might have.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your presentation, Gregory. It was great. I will now invite the guest speakers to enter the stage and ask their questions.
Do we just jump in or should we?
Yeah, jump right in.
Okay, cool. First off, Gregory, thank you so much for presenting. I know it's not always a fun thing to do, but we all appreciate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll jump in really quick. I think this is a really fun idea. I like that you have some really concrete inspiration. I think that is really helpful in game design. I've learned in my career that the idea of do anything is really exciting, but not always practical. If you want to actually finish something, it's really good to have a target and goal. It sounds like you do.
Do anything? What do you mean by that? If I could ask.
Yeah, so when I was thinking about becoming a game designer, my dream was to just make anything, right? And what you find is that is scary if you want to actually, get something done. So like I said, the bigger thing is that you have a clear goal and target, which I think is really important. So my quick feedback, I've been doing a lot of learning myself as a game designer. I've been doing it for a long time, but I still have lots to learn. And what I've been focusing a lot on is player emotion and the importance of that in gameplay. And what I think you could benefit from is you have this quadricopter and you seem really excited about that. And I would say fully lean into that part of the game first, because ultimately when you set your foundation, the rest of the game kind of falls in place. And so I think what I was hoping to see as you started showing the gameplay was what drones do in real life. They're super fast, really agile. They can do flips. If you watch like Drone Racing League, they fly through really tight corridors and obstacles. And I think you'd find something really special if all your game was to start was flying around a drone that felt incredibly satisfying to do. Like you could just sit and do that for a half an hour and be like, this is really fun. Then you found your special sauce and you build the rest of the game around that. So that's all the feedback I have. Otherwise, awesome stuff, super cool.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I would like to say, like the original concept was a guy flying around in a jetpack. What happened is I did kind of just find I found like a model of a drone on the Unity store, and I thought, that would be pretty cool to use. I do agree with your sentiment in like having like a solid base for the rest of the game, as in like, yeah.
Yeah, those are just my thoughts. Obviously, it's just my input. But yeah, I'd love to hear what the other people have. And obviously, if you have any questions for me specifically, like feel free to ask.
Yeah, the
All right.
best part about being surrounded by game designers is they'll look at whatever you're doing, and based on their own past experiences, they'll have entirely different takes on everything that's there. But you will always, no matter what happens, you will always leave that conversation having mined something of value from each conversation with each person. And the longer I've been doing this, the more surprised I am that anybody from any age can just step in and just blow your mind. So that being said, I liked a lot of what you did. I was around playing Descent and I think Star Fox around the same time when it came out. I love AI. So in terms of cultivating great user experiences, AI is going to be your best conduit. But in this kind of game, you really kind of want to focus and do a little research in something called swarm AI. And the benefit of a swarm AI, if you've ever played Shadows of Mordor, that sort of game, you're surrounded by all these things that are all engaging you and they're all following a behavior, but they're not all attacking you at the same time. What they're doing is they're giving the user the opportunity by moderating that user experience, by some of them attacking you, letting you dodge and feel, like you're an empowered player who's overcoming drastic odds, and you're capable of countering those engagements. And I saw pieces of that in your discussion with how you wanted to build more complicated, drones that might open up, show a vulnerability attack, and then, take on different behaviors from moment to moment. So if you're capable of keeping that in the back of your mind, remember when you're building these different AIs, ask yourself the question, how can I get them to work together to put pressure on the player, right? To create that excitement level while simultaneously giving them the feeling of, whew, I overcame that. I'm such a great player. And I think Swarm AI, studying Swarm AI might be your next best bet to do that. As a UX person, that was my first observation. The next is never let your users get bored or oversaturate any particular play style. And the thing that Descent, I remember doing, is they had a lot more, I wouldn't say puzzle solving, but exploration in their level design. So the benefit for you would be thrust your users out into combat right away. Give them situations where they have to run away from it, then have them do some exploring, right? Pick up new tools, new weapons, and then come back out, and then have them overcome the thing they had to run from. And then you can just build on that and build on that. And this way, as you keep that game flow going around, you can capitalize on exploration, puzzles. There's a million great ideas out there that you could probably implement in a very small scope to dramatically increase the allure of a game design, no matter where you get the assets or anything along those lines, because it's all about how people feel, right? So anyway, that's my perspective. It's just a little UX focused, but I wanted to share that with you.
All right, thank you. Yeah. I had something I want to say. I would have liked. Yeah, I will look into Swarm AI. I would have liked to, implement more stuff like that. It was just the time constraints that I had. Yeah.
Scope, you're
Thank
always going to be battling with scope. That battle will never end, amateur or professional.
If I may go next, I would actually like to ask you about your scope. What features did you plan, or did you end up building in this game? If you can tell me a bit about that.
Right. So I knew I wanted. I wanted, controls that felt, floaty but not uncontrollable. I knew I wanted that. I wanted so like for this Capstone project in particular, I wanted, a good collection of enemies that the player had to defeat in different ways, basically. So there was you saw the sort of standard, round enemy a lot there. Those were the ones that kind of swarm you. There's supposed to be a lot of those, and they kind of swarm you. There were the enemy spawners. Those were those refrigerator-looking things that opened up, and you could only damage them while they were open. And I wanted to have a bunch of enemies with different ways of going about defeating them. I also wanted to show off I have a 2-stage boss battle at the end. So there was that big ship-looking thing with the purple jets coming out of it.
Right. So, I see that there's a lot that you had planned and you implemented, but I feel like even for a demo-sized game like this, you want to pick 1 or 2 features or systems and deliver a complete loop. no matter how small it is, you can always build upon it. You can always add more features as you go, but it's important to break it down into small chunks and complete a game loop that will make your project, make your game feel more complete, and that will deliver an end-to-end experience. Along with
Mhm.
as you add more features or more functionalities, more mechanics,
Yeah.
it will add more replayability in the game.
Mm.
Gregory,
Yeah.
let me give you a couple of recommendations quickly. Let me ask you one thing. Why the position of the camera for this drone? Because it looks like a literally like a usual third person on one side. What do you put it on the center?
Yeah. So, well, I wanted it to be like a third person shooter. I didn't want the drone to be like in the way of, where the crosshair is. Right? I didn't want it to like obscure anything, but I also wanted it to be like in the shot. Right. So,
Mm-hmm.
I had to
there's
do
one
a lot of.
there's one thing that I discovered when you are experienced in development, and one thing I found when I moved to the gaming industry was that I thought that I'm solving everything and all the considerations were there. And what I found out works fantastically is that even though when I feel that I was right, I presented my demos to gamers. And what I received from that, I'm going to tell you this, Gregory, 100% of the cases, 100. Even though when I thought, I'm not sure this is going to work, and I implemented the suggestion, it was it improves the experience at the end. So there is one
Hmm.
thing that I recommend you is to try to bring the experience to the players, to gamers, and see what they have. For me, I understand what you say in terms of the third-person shooters, and I believe me, I love third-person shooters. I said at the beginning, but in the case of spaceships or drones or things like that, this is my preference to be in the center. So having the chance to test both scenarios, that would be really great to see, okay, which one you feel the best. And the other thing I want to tell you is I'm going as well in the direction that Michael mentioned, to provide other kinds of experience that you can balance. I don't know what's part was Michael, but was Sean, that, for example, a speedrunner or your game should be sections. I'm not saying that always speedrunning, but if you can create some sections for speedrunning that the player has to achieve in a space of time quickly, get boosts as they run away. It's not shooting. It's just speed running. It could be an interesting experience as well for your game. And finally, this is important, is as soon as I check your name, I was on LinkedIn, and I didn't find. I sent you an invitation a long time ago, and I didn't receive the confirmation.
Oh,
So it's very important
I'm
that you
sorry about that.
be. No, no, no worries, no worries. We're all learning from that. Start creating community. Start creating connections. It's very important. And these things that you are showing, I mean, you have it in your banner on your LinkedIn, but it will be nice that you show the progress, the things that you are creating. This will help you find that the opportunities get in your direction instead of you trying to get them. So this is something where you have to make connections, and the best way to make connections is showing your progress. And I think you have a great progress. It's a very good starting point. A lot to improve, but I think you're doing a great job. Give those recommendations a hand.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I'll take
Yeah.
that.
Thank you so much, guest speakers. I know that Gregory really values your feedback, and I really appreciate you giving your feedback and asking your questions. Thank you so much. We will now move on to the next pitch. So I'll get everybody to exit the stage, and we will invite our next speaker to come on, which is Francis. Francis, can you come on the stage? And you can start whenever
Hello,
you're ready.
hello. Can you guys hear me? Hello, can you guys hear me? I guess
Hi,
I'll
Francis. Yes, we
start.
can hear you.
Okay, cool. I'll start. Welcome, everyone. This is a presentation about the treasure of the Snowball Woods. Um, Hi, my name is Francis. I was born and raised in Hong Kong. I moved to Vancouver 3 years ago. So far, I really like the diversity and the nature here. I have a bachelor degree in computer science. I've ever since been a hobbyist game developer. I always have a dream that one day I will publish my own game on major platforms. I finished multiple game jam projects. I love designing games, building systems. Fun fact, I built a chess engine a year ago. I'm happy to say so far the engine is better than me. I'm looking for employment, internship, mentorship, and connections. Hoping to get my foot into the game industry next. Okay, so what is my game? The game is a top-down dungeon crawler roguelike. You play as a traveler from outside the woods in the search of a legendary treasure. You must navigate through a procedurally generated woods to find everything you need to achieve your goal. You will encounter different woodland people. You can trade or engage in battle with them. They are the Woodland Alliance, traveling merchants, and the conquerors of the woods. They will help you to get to the ultimate treasure. Next. Let's talk about player agencies and predetermined gameplay. Game design has always been a balance between these two elements. I want the games to give players choices so that they can create their own stories in a world that feels cohesive and immersive. Losing balance between these two elements would cause the players to lose engagement due to a lack of meaningful impact on the gameplay decisions. Next. Hey, this game is inspired by a board game called Root, where you role play as different factions in the woodland, either allying or defeating others to get score. With a fascination by the snowy nature of British Columbia's woodland and a love of interactive storytelling, I try to incorporate systems and visuals from the board game and other games to create my game. I took the multi-faction elements of Professor game like Skyrim, the dungeon generation method of Binding of Isaac, the visual and combat system of Cult of the Lamb, which I think is fits the theme of Root, the board game, and the game I'm trying to make. Next. So here's a demo of my game. Okay. I created a state machine that's the characters' behaviors based on their health point relationship with the player and the personality stat. It controls whether the character is friendly or hostile towards the player, whether they will flee from battles or not, things like that. Next. I generate the level using like a dungeon crawling generation, generate 4 paths from the starting room, branching off from each path, and putting key rooms and special rooms at the end of each path. Next. Okay, I created 3 different endings to the game based on the relationship score with each faction, where you found the ultimate treasure at the end, but you have a different changes to the Woodlands power dynamic. Next. Next, please. Okay. One challenge I had building this game is having too many ideas and these ideas being too complex. With the development time being just 1 month, I expected the last week to be about polishing the final product with arts and visual effects. But in reality, I ended up game testing and fixing game-breaking bugs. Next. So if I were to continue developing the game, I would add these features: a character customization and progression system where the player can invest and provide a satisfying payoff at the end. I would add some weapon variations to add some gameplay variety, named NPCs and bosses to create more memorable experience. Their user-based stories. Okay, next. Okay, that's all for my presentation. I hope you enjoy. Again, I'm looking for employment, internship, and mentorship connection in general. Just putting myself out there. I'd love to talk to you guys about games in general. Thank you for listening. I guess I'll be taking questions.
Thank you so much, Francis. I loved your demo so much. Thank you for sharing that. I'll get all of the guest speakers to join the stage and ask their questions and give their feedback.
I'll jump in first again. Thanks, Francis, for sharing. This looks really cool. Love the art style. I think you did a really good job of getting a lot of polish in such a short time, which is really impressive. I mean, I'm working on a personal project on my own time, and I don't have sound effects at all. So awesome stuff. I don't have feedback on the game necessarily. My input is just going to be on presentation, and this is kind of just general feedback. Like, the presentation was great, so nothing bad about that. It's more so, I think, when you are showing someone a game or an idea, it's important to try to help them paint the full picture in their head with what you provide them. So this is maybe a dumb example, but I hope it makes sense. Imagine if you were the first person to invent a ball and you were showing it to people in your hand and they were looking at it and going like, okay, cool, it's a ball. Like, I don't know what the possibilities are with this ball. This doesn't mean anything to us. But then you throw the ball and then you bounce the ball and then you throw the ball in a hoop. And now people are going, oh, wow, I see what I could do with this ball and I'm excited. And so that's my feedback for this presentation, is just show me the things in your game to be really excited about. Help me kind of discover the possibilities and what I could do. And that can be tough. Obviously, I know you had
Oh, I think we lost Michael. Okay. I'm gonna start while Michael goes back. I guess that he will go back at the point. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna tell you several things. The first, we'll start with the nice. That game reminds me a lot of Undertale. It has some spirit of Undertale, not exactly 2D, but that spirit, which is an interesting idea. There is a thing that at the beginning is not very clear for me. And when you start playing a video game, you have to express in the basic gameplay mechanics what the people is going to feel. And they have to feel it very fast. They have to feel it in 2 minutes or no more than that, maybe in the first seconds. Now, there is a mechanic that you have related to killing the enemies that you have around. I would recommend you to provide more satisfaction in that process of killing the enemies. So it's not just dropping some arrows and okay, they die. It's like make some arrows and explode. And I'm not gonna say blood, but it's a good idea. So to put a lot of drama in the act. If you can have multiple kills and you can increase in some way your power, that would be fantastic. Let's say that you kill 3 guys in less than 2 seconds, then you have like, oh, fantastic, something like that. From the perspective, I'm sorry, Michael, I get into your position, but you were out.
All good.
So if you can give that feedback to the player, it's going to be super. You're going to feel a lot of satisfaction playing the game. So try to think about that. You already have the basic mechanics done. Now make a boost for it. I think that idea of the swarm AI that Sean mentioned for the previous case, it might works for you as well here, because I feel like all characters were attacking you at the same time, and he's like, "Oh, come on, this is I can't deal with that." So keep in mind also the swarm AI. Other thing that you can use is the staging, the hitting of your enemy. So if you hit an enemy, maybe there is a time like, oh, getting some damage and then recovering to continue the attack. That could be another option. And the other is that you can provide in the levels boost weapons. What I mean with boost weapons is weapons that you're going to use just one shot, and then they do something big, and that's it. It's empty. The rest is your usual weapon. And eventually, for the future, going in the same direction of enjoying this type of experience with friends, try to consider multiplayer, that at least 4 people can be, playing in this environment. Finally, I'm going to give you the same recommendation that I did a second ago. The first thing I did was trying to find you on LinkedIn, and I couldn't. I don't know where you are. And you need to be in that network yesterday and start making connections. Start with us, and then spread with your peers, with the other students. But you need to start showing your progress, the things that you are creating. There is no such thing as perfection. Just show it. Show what you're doing, okay? And then continue the process, all right? That's it. Sorry,
Thank you.
Michael.
That's very good advice.
I don't know where I cut off, but I think I got my point across. So I want to give other people time to give their valuable feedback.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Yeah, so very good job. I think that when you're looking at scope, sometimes you really want to add a lot of polish, because you want the polish to convey your passion and love for a project. But you'll be surprised how you can get away with a lot when you focus on the user experience and less on the aesthetic, right? So I think that when you're very much focused on making the gameplay feel fun and exciting, you're never gonna lose, right? Someone mentioned Zelda. They beat me to Zelda. I think it was Stephanie. That was the first feel I had, just because of the structural way you had the level design and the engaging user gameplay. Now, what I would recommend is there was a game I played recently. It was really inexpensive, and it was easily one of the best user experiences I had. It was called The Secret of Grindia. If you have the opportunity to look that up on Steam, just take a look at how they combine the elements, because it has a lot of similarity to the play style, or at least the conveyed experience that you're trying to build. And I find that as somebody who spends a lot of time pitching and talking about game design, that whenever I'm building something that I'm really passionate, I'm really enjoying, I look at see what other people have done, just to sort of get a feel for, is this sort of conveying the feeling that I want? Oh, I like what they're doing there. Somebody brought up multiplayer. I believe it was Tony. That's the first thing I thought the moment I saw your game. Even local co-op, the idea that 2 people are playing your game together, going from level to level. I think it's Hammerwatch does something similar. And again, it's a little more complicated, a little more difficult, but for the most part, those little cooperative experiences in a game like this, fighting and protecting your friends and finding abilities to help your friend is probably one of the most enjoyable thing. Most of the videos you see are streamers playing with their significant other, desperately trying to overcome odds and sharing that user experience together. Other than that, I think I mentioned X statements. I can't remember. I believe it was Michael who was talking about weight, or no, that might have been Tony. So the weight of the benefit of having a really cool attack or a really interesting power attack or slaying an enemy is by exasperating or exaggerating that particular scenario. And when you have the ability to make your enemy just like fly back against the wall and explode into pieces or something like that, especially based on something you as the player did better. So like I used my crossbow, but I hit only the head, or I shot my triple crossbow, but I did it point blank, you know. Being able to create those experiences and making the player taste a little bit of that risk for that rewarding crunch is always going to give you the opportunity of conveying a really fun experience. So great stuff. Look forward to see what else you come up with.
Thank you.
I
Yeah, I
want to
agree that I really listen.
let me add just one thing to what
Yes.
Sean said. If you provide something that they didn't expect when you kill an enemy, that's something that feels like, oh my God, I want to try it again, even though I don't know how to. I did it. So keep that in mind. That's great, Sean.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree that I really, if I were to continue this, I would like refine the base play mechanics. Yeah, very good advice. Thanks.
So quickly, I just want to say that everybody has already covered a lot of points that I was also thinking of. So there's not much to add. I really liked that you have included good sound effects and visual effects. I was able to see the tiny effects when the character slashed around, and that was great. You mentioned in your presentation slides, you have some specific mechanics mentioned, but I feel like the video demo was kind of not presenting it clearly. So it's more about like showing your mechanics more clearly in your trailer. That will really help, I think. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody, for your constructive feedback. It's very, very valued. And thank you so much for Francis to present his pitch. It was awesome. So thank you so much, everybody. I will get you all to exit the stage, and I will get the next person on the stage, which is Philip. Philip, can you enter the stage? He will be presenting Whispers of the Forest.
So hi everyone, my name is Philip Rake, and I'm excited to present my capstone project, Whispers of the Forest. It's a passion project that merges classic JRPG mechanics with a nostalgic 2.5D art style. My background is a mix of both programming and art. I've grown up like loving games, mainly Nintendo games is what I'm most familiar with. So that fueled my desire to make games myself. I love seeing code and creativity come together to form living worlds. The project allowed me to push forward above my technical and creative limits, exploring mechanics I've admired since childhood. So the main challenge with this project was to create something that feels complete in a short amount of time. I wanted to test my limits with combining 2D sprites in a 3D environment. So achieving a familiar HD 2D aesthetic while keeping performance and clarity in mind. The game includes a functional turn-based combat system created from scratch, integrated with an overworld environment. The main thing is that all the game's art is custom made by me to basically showcase my artistic abilities. So the game captures the classic feeling of RPGs like Final Fantasy or Chrono Trigger, but built within the modern Unity workflow. The player explores a small, compact map, interacts with NPCs, and engages in combat sequences. Each element, from lighting to sprite alignment, was customized to create a polished 2.5D look. The game world is composed of a 3D tile grid, as mentioned before, in which depth is achieved by stacking several layers atop one another, creating a voxel look reminiscent of something like Minecraft, and allowing an art style historically restricted to 2D games to work in 3D. The NPCs can be found roaming the map within a set range they cannot leave. They feature like a custom rudimentary AI, each utilizing a script that tells them to incrementally move around in one of the 4 cardinal directions chosen at random within a random chosen delay. Basically just makes it look like they're kind of wandering around the map instead of just being static. When approaching an NPC, it'll stop moving. Oh, sorry. I was still reading the previous slide. When approaching an NPC, it'll stop moving and an icon will appear above the player's head, indicating they can speak to the NPC. Doing so will bring up a dialog box wherein pressing space will advance the text, and the player cannot move while this is active. So similarly to NPCs, enemies can also be found roaming the map. They use the same general roaming AI. However, when the player approaches them, they will aggro and begin chasing the player, so long as the player is in range. If it touches the player, a battle begins in which both the player and the enemy teleport to the left and right side of the screen, respectively. This is when the turn-based combat takes place. So the battles are determined with a set of stats, like the set of stats you'd expect. So obviously you have health, which is how much health they have, self-explanatory. Mana is the currency used to craft magic, although that currently doesn't have a use yet. Attack is just how much damage the attack inflicts. Defense is how much the attack damage is reduced by. And speed determines the order that the combatants attack each turn, from highest to lowest speed stat. So when devising both the game mechanics and visual style, I took inspiration from a variety of sources, weaving together disparate ideas to create an identity for the game I can definitively call my own. So some of the references I used are Octopath Traveler for the general visual design, like the 2.5D sort of design, Minecraft for the direct art style, Final Fantasy and similar series for turn-based combat and like general like RPG mechanics, and RPG Maker was a similar, just the general like RPG Maker aesthetic. Here's some more screenshots of the game. So this project was a 3-week sprint. My workflow followed an iterative approach, starting with a minimal viable prototype, layering gameplay elements, and then refining them alongside the UI and visual presentation. Rapid iteration kept scope in check while allowing me to be creative and experimental. Week 1 focused mainly on devising the game's concept. It took some time to narrow down what kind of game I wanted to make, so this week was mostly spent in ideation. Week 2 focused on building the basic world and the physics system, as well as designing the player character, essentially constructing the game's core foundation, and that could be further built up from later. And finally, week 3 was when the more detailed systems were implemented. These include the NPCs and enemies and their respective behaviors, as well as more map geometry and such. The battle system was the last thing to be added. And here's a short demo showcasing my game. So the NPCs I'll use like just a placeholder graphic. I wasn't able to make a design for them in time, unfortunately. And yeah, that about shows the general scope of what's been done so far. So the end goal of the project was to act as a testament to all that I've learned in the field of game development thus far, in which case I think I would call it a success. Should the opportunity present itself, I plan to continue developing the game until I feel it's worthy of being released commercially. Throughout the project, I improved my knowledge of Unity 3D, strengthened debugging, animation rigging, and such, and discovered the importance of iteration and game balance. Should I continue working on this game, the primary focuses will be expanding the world and adding more locations, introducing more characters, enemies, and bosses, or well, bosses in general, and improving the battle system by adding multiple actions, as well as a means of dodging or countering enemy attacks. And that's it. Thanks for listening to my presentation.
Thank you so much, Philip. That was fantastic. Great job. And I will add Philip's contact information in the chat. So thank you so much. I will invite the guest speakers now to speak up.
Does someone other than me want to go first? No? Okay. Philip, thank you. As always, looks fantastic. I wish I was half as good at pixel art as you are. It looks great.
Thank you.
I don't have any feedback on the game itself. I think you, in a very limited amount of time, got some really great systems online, which I think is super cool. What I would say, so your last slide on your next steps. So this is where I would give feedback as an experienced game designer who still has a ton to learn. But you have a really good opportunity to complete what's called a vertical slice. So if you haven't heard that term yet, I'd assume you have, but basically it's a like smaller view.
Viable product. Go ahead. Also heard. No, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So kind of a smaller piece of the whole big picture without doing everything else. And so my input would be, how can you start to tie all these systems together without going crazy and adding tons of new content? So here's my idea, not that anybody's short on ideas, but I envision there's a giant slime at the end of that walkway. And players learn that their primary goal is to figure out how to defeat that big slime, right? It's way too powerful for them if you approach it right away. So then you start talking to the various NPCs, and maybe they give you advice or gear, or you can recruit them or whatever. I'm sure you can come up with fantastic ideas. And then
Right.
to level yourself up.
I'd mentioned the final game, sorry, keep going.
No, you're good. There's a delay, so please jump in.
Yeah, I imagine in the final game, the NPCs will have like a lot more uses. This is mainly just like a proof of concept showing just kind of like designing the base for like the NPCs. I'm thinking they could have more uses, like maybe like obviously shopkeepers and stuff.
Yeah, which I think you nailed, and that's really just the piece of my feedback is take all those really cool systems that you've created already and just find a way to tie them together, even in that little space. Like just let players exist in that grass area and give them a central goal to accomplish, and then use all those systems to accomplish that goal. And now there's a reason to talk to the NPCs, fight the little guys, and then ultimately beat the big slime, and boom, vertical slice.
Right. Yeah, the initial plan was to have the area like kind of extend, have a longer pathway that kind of extends into like a more like hostile dungeon area, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get around to that. And that dungeon area would be where the first boss is housed.
No, don't be sorry. You did a lot in 3 weeks. It's very impressive. Okay, someone else can talk now.
Yeah, someone said that the slimes.
Go ahead, Amit.
Someone said that the slimes look like Terraria slimes, which yeah, what's like the design for them? They are based on Terraria slimes.
Nice. Yeah, so I think the art is great, and that looks like one of your strong suits. I also don't have much to add in the gameplay feedback wise, but I do want to say that when you're I think there's a lot to improve in the presentation overall. Your slides have a lot of text that you were just reading through, and I also took a glance at your portfolio document, and there's a lot of text over there as well. And I think it was Sean who mentioned show, don't tell, and that is something that you should practice in this case as well. You have good art. You made a bare bone game. While it's quite presentable, and you can really utilize that to to demonstrate it instead of just having a reading through the slides. Just have like bullet points of what you want to say, and then show the screenshots more, or show the gameplay. So I think that's my feedback. Also, in your what's next slide, I think your combat needs a bit of improvement, where you can kind of show more visual effects. That I felt like there was a missing feedback, like for each player action. There was not very much visual. So in the previous game, we saw that when you were attacking the enemies, you could see them you could see just a white flash on them. Even that simple effect could give enough feedback to the player.
Yeah, like I said, the combat was one of the last things I was able to work on. So that's why it's like the most like primitive.
You got the system in place. You have the system in place. Your your attack health, everything is calculating up when you attack, and you're taking turns. So it's
Yeah,
all
the main intent
it's
was
kind
to
of like
just
you've built it, and now you have to improve it better.
yeah, the main intent was to just like get the system made, and then I improve upon it over time.
So yes, good job on that, and I think you have a good game to present, but you can do a lot more in the presentation itself.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah, right on. It's good stuff, Philip. I got to get in a habit of calling everybody by short versions of their names. Nobody seems to do that anymore. Yeah, so you can do a lot with a little. So like if you're using the same exclamation point to inform the player that the enemies are detecting you and they're going to react to your location, whether it be close enough to them to engage, and you want to use exclamation points for the quest givers as well, just change the color. Change the color, like red is combat and yellow or gold would be, like, hey, this is come to me, or maybe use a question mark. I think WoW does that. World of Warcraft does that pretty well. They have exclamation points to start and question marks when you fulfill the quest, but you have to go back to the quest giver to get your reward. I do see, you fell into, I wouldn't say the trap, but the thing that students do most, which is you get right into the world building. And you do like the important things like last, and then you're in crunch and you're like, no, I can't possibly get as much as I want done. You're never going to be able to do that. It doesn't matter where you are, or like if you're a 100-man team or person team building a really epic game, you're always going to have to start with the core user experience first, and then sprinkle in everything else as you go. So I would have, although I love pixel art, I would have simply stolen pixel art assets anywhere I could find them, because you're probably not going to sell the game. And I would have focused all my attention on the combat. I would have picked a game like Final Fantasy, I think you had Final Fantasy 3 US there, and said, what is the MVP here, right? Do I want to attack and do I want to defend, right? And how do I make that an exciting thing? How do I know when to defend? So you could have the slime maybe like change colors or shake vibrantly or have an extra exclamation point. And that's when the player's like, I have to stop attacking. I have to defend the attack. And this way, at least you have a loop where player agency is doing something, right? And that way, the user's engaged in some way in the combat. And as you move forward, as your time, if you go back to the game and keep developing it, you can add other things like magic and technical attacks and cooperative attacks and so forth and so forth. And that way it's a very modular user experience that you can build upon as you move forward. World building, I absolutely love. I like the fact that you hand did. It looks like you hand did a lot of the pixel stuff, or did you do all of it?
Yeah, I did all the art myself.
Right on. That's the kind of passion I love. That's how I started pretty much everything, just doing pixel work. And I don't think that's ever going to change. Here, conveyed design. So something I would recommend to showcase that you're thinking on a different level, if you extend the project further, make the player have a sword that does minimum damage to the slimes that you have to run from. Right? And then when the player picks up like a hammer or some other weapon type, you can teach the player that, oh, this is the weapon I use against slimes, right? And so when you're swapping between these two weapons, when you get to the boss slime, you have conveyed to the player that the best weapon to use would be the hammer. And this way, what you're doing is, to the people like myself who are watching your project or seeing your stuff on sketch.io or watching you put up a video, they're like, oh, he's thinking about, how do I engage the player? How's the player critically thinking? And am I teaching the player how to defeat my game? And that's the stuff I usually like to see. And you don't need to have incredibly intense graphics or atmospheric effects or really deep interfaces to make those sort of things happen. Anyway, just some thoughts I wanted to share out there. Let me know what you think. And yeah, great presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to start saying that I love the music. That part I really enjoy it. There are things that you can add, like the steps when the character is moving, which would be great. It's a great feedback. Considering that you took 3 weeks, I think it's a great progress. Now, at the same time, I feel that you are in a stage where you should start showing this to more people. I told this at the beginning, and I will tell it forever. Show what you're doing. Don't think about, okay, this is going to be my big success video game industry. Think about this will build up your experience, but also that you can start creating a great community that will give you feedback. And the good thing is that many people in the gaming industry, they want to be heard. And the moment that you listen to what they're saying and you're trying to implement, you can create a link with them that will provide you more spreading the things that you are creating and more visibility. At this point, for me, it's very difficult to know what is going to happen with the game. I consider that the core loop has to be fun, but I'm talking based on what I saw. It's not based on what I experienced. It's not fun enough. So we have to find that element, and the way to find that element usually is not the work as the work as a developer. Is the work as a designer, and then you're going to feel, okay, what is the element that I am missing? And sometimes when you have fresh minds outside of your garage, or in my case of my basement, then they're going to provide you with a fresh perspectives. Um, but again, considering that you did this in 3 weeks is a great job. The other thing I want to close with this one is the emotion that you want to create in the game. Remember that every time that we are creating a game, guys, is we're trying to express something inside of us to the rest of the world, and it's unavoidable. It's part of us. Our games are part of us. So what is the emotion as well that you want to present in the video games? Even when we talk about a game like Minecraft, it's incredible, but it has emotion. The elements that the day and night comes, and well, the environment and other elements that change, the sound, all these things makes a game special. So start considering what is that extra emotion that you can put as another layer beyond the main mechanics of your video game. And finally,
Right.
uh again, you the same thing I mentioned for the other two. You have to start presenting your things on LinkedIn. You need to start attracting people to the things that you are creating. So show it, guys. Show. It's very important. Okay.
Right. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. That was such a great presentation. Thank you, Philip. And thank you, everybody, for your feedback. And now we will do the next presentation, which is by Robbie, and it's called Rush Hour. So I'll get everybody to exit the stage once again, and I will get Robbie to hop on and tell us a little bit about what Rush Hour is all about.
Hello, my name is Robbie Duke, and yeah, this is a game I've been working on lately called Rush Hour. So, a little about myself. I've always been in a game since I was a child. I've always loved, the feeling of escape and experience they can bring. And yeah, I'm determined to never stop really improving, and I want to, keep developing. And yeah, my goals for this project would be employment and mentorship. Would be nice. So, what Rush Hour is basically, I tried making something that brings a little more sense of speed and challenge that I feel might be or is lacking in most modern racing games today. It's a simple racing game right now, but I have plans to grow it into a bigger game with free roam and in city racing with traffic and vehicle customization as well. I took a lot of inspiration from older racing games like Midnight Club LA and Burnout Paradise. I really like the sense of speed in those games as well as the traffic. And yeah, I just feel it's lacking a bit in most modern racing games where you could be going like 300 kilometers an hour in the game and it wouldn't look it unless you look down to see how fast you were going. But yeah, and in this game, I wanted to add both in-city racing with traffic as well as racing on a circuit with many different playable cars to choose from to give lots of variety to the player. Just a little demo. So yeah, that's basically what I have so far. Yeah, starting this program with like no experience at all in game development is really, you know, I've really come a long way, I feel. And although it's not perfect right now, I still have a lot of ideas and things I want to do. There were many challenges in making this. Like for starters, the wheel colliders at the very beginning of starting the project. I didn't realize that the colliders and the mesh had to be separate from each other. And after going, like talking about it with my instructor, we both figured that out later on. The AI cars and the player cars themselves were also very challenging for me to do. Like in the beginning, the AI cars didn't really like driving like real cars, or they would start driving and then within the first few corners kind of give up and act kind of weird. As well as the player car, I wanted to try and give it the kind of feeling of being a little realistic by trying to add like an anti-roll bar and some downforce the faster the car goes. Because yeah, in the beginning it likes to slide around, and then after adjusting the grip, it would flip really easily under like minor cornering, as well as just relearning things from the course before and teaching myself new things. But yeah, that's all I got so far. I really look forward to continue developing this and gaining a lot more experience, and hopefully one day I can make this game the pretty big one I know it can be. Yeah, thank you, and feel free to reach out to me anytime. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Robbie. Every time I watch your demo video, I get so excited because that's totally something I would play. Yeah, thank you so much. Great. The guest speakers are already on stage and they will be asking you questions now.
We'll go first
Thank
and
you,
fast.
Robbie.
So get out of the way for everyone else. Yeah, so great stuff. I get the impression, I love racing games. I get the impression that between Mario Kart, Hot Wheels, and Gran Turismo, you were pushing into more of a Gran Turismo direction. So when you're thinking about like the user experience, it gets tricky because like in terms of scope, you have to think about like, do I want shocks? You know, how much realism do I want? Does the car tilt? Does it drift? And so forth and so forth. If you don't want any arcade mechanics, you also have to think, put a lot of thought into AI because you need the AI to be competitive enough. I mean, you could build a perfect AI that will always outrace the player, but nobody would want to play that game, right? Unless you call the game second place, and it's, you know, it's a Souls-like racing game. It's up to you. I think that you could sculpt the user experience a little bit more with having the competitive drivers get better as the player gets better, and then some of them get worse as the player gets worse. That way, early on, they have the player has the opportunity to learn the course and not be completely decimated, you know, overly. Be aware of your 3Cs. I found that the camera collided with a couple of those overhead walkways. And what I would do, I would cheat. I would simply make them larger so that they appear to be what they are, and they're immersive in the environment. But you don't have the camera going over top of them, cutting off line of sight to your car, or colliding directly with them. Right. So that's just one of those things where you want to get away from that as quickly as possible. Otherwise, awesome. Loved it. Music, everything. It's great.
Well, yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, I agree with a lot of things you said, and I'd really like to continue working on it to make it feel more polished in that way.
If I may go next. So yes, I really like the concept, and I've worked on so many racing games that I can tell you that one of the most important thing is to create your vehicle physics system in a way that the designer gets as many levers as they can to improve the overall driving experience. And yes, there are two of the three main pillars of a racing game is speed and control. So yes, you're spot on that one thing, that you want to have the player feel the speed. So do focus on that. Improve that experience as much as you can. You will need a lot of visual effects to have that feel of the speed. But also add as many parameters as you can in the vehicle physics and tweak them as you go. Give the build to your peers, your friends, spread it out in the network and get more feedback. That is the best way to improve the racing gameplay, in my opinion. Second one is music and sound effects is going to heavily complement your gameplay experience. For a racing game, car engine noise is very important. So you have to nail that right. Also like the music will also define, like if you want like a fast-paced racing experience, you'll choose the music accordingly. As compared to just casual cruising experience, will have a different tone of music. And the last one is for the open-end cars. I'm not sure if you've heard this concept of rubber banding, which is basically keeping the cars next to you when you're driving. You're faking the whole competitiveness, but it delivers a great experience. So do look into that.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to look into, like, in the future, adding more effects to make the car feel faster, like camera blurring and shaking maybe. And yeah, I have heard of rubber banding and thought, yeah, maybe I'll try adding that one day as well. But yeah, thank you.
Cool. I'll jump in. Awesome stuff, Robbie. So thing you should know about me, I'm a huge car person. So I love a good racing game.
Me too. That's why part of the
Yeah.
inspiration for me. I
My
love
picture
cars.
is me with a R34 GTR that I got to drive in Japan. Anyway,
Thanks.
what I would give to you as my feedback is there are a lot of racing games out there, and I don't want to discourage you, but this is a reality as game creators we all face, right? Like, if you're putting your racing game out there, what's going to draw someone to it over the other, countless other racing games, especially when you have AAA games like Forza and Assetto Corsa and all that stuff. So I think the key here is to really find your hook, the thing that makes you stand out, and lean into that. So when you, and you did something really powerful here, which I'd encourage everyone listening to be mindful of, you identified a problem. It's a really key thing. Your problem is racing games don't convey speed well enough. And I completely agree with you on that. So if that is the problem you are setting out to solve in your game, how can you make that your hook so that when someone is browsing games on Steam and they come across your game and they're into racing games, they see yours and they go, whoa, there's something here, right? Because maybe you don't have the ability to make it all about deep customization or super advanced car physics or all the other things that AAA studios can pull off. So what's the thing you can do? And I'll share a quick example. I was working on a drifting game, but there are also tons of drifting games out there. So you know what I did? I made it where you drift a garbage can, not a car, right? So the premise was drift the world. You just inhabit random objects and you drift them. It's not going to go anywhere, but you can imagine if you saw that on Steam, you'd be like, that's kind of interesting. That guy's drifting around a big garbage can. Now you're drawn to it. So find your hook, find the thing that draws people in. Otherwise, awesome stuff.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your feedback. And yeah, I will be definitely pushing the drive and feel and kind of making it feel like you're going faster and all that. And yeah.
I have to say that I love what Michael mentioned about the hook, and my plan was to go in that same direction. There are many games in this particular genre, but you conquer the basic mechanics. And if you ask me, I think that's a great starting point. I mean, your car is moving, you have control of the car, you have AI, which is key that you mention it in your LinkedIn, which you haven't, by the way, because I already checked your LinkedIn, and you haven't accepted my invitation either. You have to be active on your LinkedIn, brother.
Yeah,
you have to, and start showing what you're doing, because what you're doing is really great. Coming to the same idea that Michael mentioned, I love this game, which is called the truck simulator. When somebody presented me the idea of the truck simulator, I thought I can imagine a more boring game in the world. And it turns out that it was totally different. And they thought it in a different way, which is what Michael mentioned. Even if you have something that is running that it makes no sense, is when people say, oh, okay, this is different. This is something special in this video game. And I'm going circling the same recommendation. You already have a great prototype that you can show it, present it to people, say, hey guys, I have this, it's already working. In fact, you can, subscribe to my newsletter and you can play the game for free. Now I want to know, what else can we add to this experience to make it more special that you didn't find in any other place? Start connecting with your audience, start connecting with what could be your potential clients in the future. And believe me, you can find great ideas that will come from them, because many will play a lot of games like GTA or any other variation of this. I usually play Formula One because I love Formula One, and which gets me to the last element, which is the playing with the hectic part of your game. That could be, well, I don't know if that's on your plan, but to make it a little bit more hectic, to add boost, to add all the things that can happen suddenly that it's not just running the car. Something happened that defines a new mechanic or a new gameplay that people didn't expect, and they say, "Oh, this is pretty cool," and make it crazy. Go crazy. Go literally crazy. When you see that, oh, this makes no sense. Okay, let's test it. Let's test it, because that's the thing that nobody else has done. And then you can say, oh my God, what if at some point I take a boost and the car just fly, or I don't know, whatever is going to happen. Try to go for the crazy, and then you will find the path in the direction that will make your game special.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. That I did have originally more plans to make it actually more crazy and do all this stuff. Just
Nice.
because experience and time, really. That at the moment it's very simple, but yeah, I'd love to build it into something bigger with more crazy stuff.
Robbie, keep in mind one thing. Every time that you conquered a specific mechanic as a game developer that you think, oh, this is something that adds value to what other studios and is your strength, start showing it, present it on LinkedIn, talk about that strength, because we all want to have the opportunity to find a job in the gaming industry while eventually we create our own path, but we need the income. So show what you're doing, where you are, where your strengths are, the things that you can conquer, because you never know when there is a GTA that needs somebody that, okay, we need to create, I don't know, the AI for a specific type of trucks in our game. And they can find you and they say, okay, we can take this talent. So also keep that in mind, okay?
Yeah, sounds good. I'll definitely be adding this and everything else to LinkedIn and keeping it updated more often.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for your feedback. That was very constructive, and that's something that, I can work with Robbie to kind of work on that as well. Thank you so much. I will get you all to leave the stage now, and we will welcome our next presentation, which is Space Unity by Kareem. Kareem, can you join the stage?
Trying to turn on my camera. I don't know.
That's okay. Take your time, and whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Is it not working for you?
I'm trying to turn it on, but it's just showing. Oh, there we go. Wait, no.
It shows me it's enabled, so let me know if.
I pressed enable. It's not.
No.
Should I leave and join back, or?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely continue. If it's not working, that's okay.
You sure?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a way of making it work, we can wait another minute, but otherwise you can just continue.
Actually, here, let me try. Here. Settings. There we go. Awesome. Wait. What?
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna work.
Wait,
it's
here.
okay. That's okay. It happens.
There you go. I'm supposed to press update. Wait, what? Enabled. Wait, hang on. There. It's
No,
on.
we can hear you though. So whenever you're ready, you can just start. Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, thank you. And my name is Kareem Yusuf, and for my capstone project, I created a game called Space Unity. You can click on next. So, who am I? Again, my name is Kareem Yusuf. I was born and raised in Canada. I'm a huge fan of video games, comic books, and movies. And I learned how to use Unity Engine and C# coding. And in September, I got my badge for professional game developer from Circuit Stream Bootcamp. You can click next. So what was my game development philosophy? So this game, it's an adventure game where Space Unity, you get to explore like what's the levels, what's the objectives to finish the game, and how do you beat it is definitely one of the most important thing about adventure games. And it's also a practice game where you play the game and then you finally learn about it. Where if you want to learn about Space Unity, you got to learn from it. And it takes a really good practice in order to get the hang of how to play or how to beat the levels and just make it a good practice game. And definitely for fun games, making a game where players can have an exciting adventure to beat the game. And it's also a fun ways to learn about fun games. And also to make more interesting, yeah, there you go. So what makes a game fun adventure is objectives. Definitely. Well, it'll tell you what to do in that level, how to do good in this, and what are chances of you beating the level. And definitely adding combat, which is there's definitely some enemies that are going to be in the game. They're going to fight you in order to make sure that to try to stop you from beating the game. And definitely survival, which is definitely the most important thing about Space Unity, is that you have to have a survival object in order to defend yourself. And definitely the last thing to make a fun adventure game is space. So you can go ahead and click on next. So what my game is about, in description. So there are 5 levels, and player will be challenged in each level to see how they can complete the game. It's also a 2D game, and players will be using movements, combat mechanics in order to make the player move around to explore, and using combat to fight against enemies. So you can go ahead and click on next. So what was my inspiration? The movements was definitely a Mario game, like basic movements. And Rayman Legends, simple 2D fighting game, like punch, kick, and basically running. And definitely one of the favorite games, Space Invaders, where the space backgrounds, the shooting, and awesome adventure. So yeah, you can go ahead, click next. So what was my timeline? So at August, I had a development plan where figuring out how to make a game, to add levels, adding sounds, instructions, and cutscenes when you beat the game, and then adding 2D mechanics for the players and enemies, and adding UI for the health and kill counts. So then the first week of September, adding levels with 2D models and adding animations for players to interact. And then the second week of September, making the code to make the player movements and combat mechanics, and adding cutscenes to let players know that they have completed the level, and adding enemies. And then the last and most important thing, adding post-processing to add some polishing, to add the finishing touches to my game. So yeah, you can go click next. So there's a demo. So yeah, that demo video was showing like the movements and definitely how combat works, and definitely exploring space, which is definitely really cool. So what were the challenges? Creating combat by using Ammutator. Yeah, when you saw that video where the player was punching the enemies, yeah, that took a lot of using Ammutator to learn how to use it, which is really fun, and the script. Figuring out the format of each levels and how to make it fun for player to play, and using the coding for the first time to create objects and having them interact with each other in the engine, and choosing the correct elements and backgrounds that match my vision for the game. And what was exciting takeaways? Creating video games is exciting and challenging, but very much regarding once you see your vision for the game come to life. And there are many different elements that make up video game creations, and I'm really definitely excited to learn more about using them for my future game development. You can go ahead and click next. So what was the next step? After I finished my game for Space Unity, I added main menus and level selected so the players can choose what level they want to play. And definitely adding the game over trigger where they can choose if they want to restart or they can just exit the levels. And definitely the most important piece to finish up the game was post-processing. Just polish it and then the game looks really good. So my next step for my personal is I want to continue to learn and grow. And definitely my favorite part when I made this game was learning how to use the Ammutator, like the punch effects, the shooting, and the explosion, like you guys saw in the video, was I want to learn more how to use animation and learn how to do an Ammutator. And I definitely look forward to start a game development job. You can go click next. So yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you so much. And there's my email. I also have a link. Here's a link to my game if you guys are interested in trying out. But yeah, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Kareem. I'm sorry that your camera didn't end up working last minute, but I'm glad you got to present your pitch. We'll do about a 5-minute Q&A just so that we can accommodate the next last pitch as well. But yeah, thank you to our guest speakers for joining the stage, and you can do Q&A now.
Okay.
Right. I want to start with a question. So what is the core gameplay for your game, Kareem?
Like, sorry, can you say an example? Well, like
right.
what?
So specifically, like the first two gameplay I saw was more of a platformer, and then there was a space shooter in the third clip. So it feels there's a lot of a disconnect between these two gameplays. I want to know in which one would you prefer more, and you're going to develop further.
It was like yeah, from the different levels of this, like it was supposed to be like a space castle where he's like the players inside, and then he has to go through this course, and then like in order to beat it. And then this time, well, Space Unity, I thought I was gonna make like a space castle where he has to go through these courses, and then where he gets on, he does the movements, and then he does the combat, and then he goes on the spaceship in order to explore space for that game. That's what I was going for.
Right, because when you see the first two clips, it doesn't look like a space game at all. I would suggest if you want to keep these levels, maybe explore more into the physics side of the gameplay, because since it is set in space, you can play around a lot with gravity and make it feel more like it is set in space. Otherwise, it feels like it's just another platformer game.
Yeah.
The third clip, that's definitely a space. It is set in space, and I really like that how you are transitioning player from one round to another and then another. So that was great. But I think you need to kind of pinpoint to like which core mechanic you want to keep and build the game around it, rather than having two different gameplays in one game.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I should have I should have made a space game where maybe like the locations is what I should have added. Yeah, because I understand the demo where it talked about him and the players in a different place. I should have just made it like a space game where maybe he's at Mars or different locations, and then that would have been 100% a space game. But yeah, I agree. Thank you, though.
Otherwise, by the way, it looks great. I see that there is a lot of visual effects added. So yes, you did a good job on post processing as well.
Thank you.
Guess I'll go next real quick. Yeah, I found that in the past, when trying to build a really interesting hook, and sometimes that hook can be, it's a spaceship game, and then we land, and then we're out of the spaceship, and we're like running around and puzzle solving, fighting enemies on the space station. We get the loot, then we get back in the spaceship, and then we're flying out again. The problem with these kind of game modes eventually is that one always becomes the mini game to the other. Which means that one usually gets more development attention, and it's like kind of hard to make sure that the user experiences are always consistent. That being said, there's nothing wrong with it. Just the sooner you figure out which is the principal core game loop, which I think is very much what touching on what Amit had said. Like once you know what that core gameplay loop is, then you know where to put your polish. When you know where to take inspiration from other things and to really sort of focus on the user experience that you want to have be principal element of that game. A good example would be, I think, if anybody you've played Kingdom Hearts, I think Kingdom Hearts has like this really cool Lego space ship game as you go from one place to the next, but really it's an RPG, right? So it's an add-on to it. When using scores, this is for everybody. Try to use it like in the hundreds or thousands. The reason being is that it's really easy to the eye to sort of see the value of like, oh, I got 100 here, I got 1,000 for beating like a little mini boss in the spaceship or defeating a mini boss. This way, when the player gets the final score, it doesn't feel like, oh, I got 26, so I killed 26 enemies. If you're going to use low numbers, oh, sorry.
Sorry about that. Yeah. You know what? I probably should have. Now that you mentioned it, I really should have added the score. This big little like Space Invaders. Yeah. When you shoot the enemies, you get the scores. I had the kill counts on how many times you killed the enemies. It's like what was it called? I forgot what game it's called. Yeah, it's like a kill count where you kill the enemies and it counts up the enemies that you killed.
Yeah, and when you get that kill counter up, you could even transform it so that your lasers do something unique. Unless darkness is an element, try to get away from using it too much. So like when you're inside, it's kind of hard to see what's going around. And when you can see what's going on inside of the exploring of the environments, you can then convey, oh, here's a chest, here's some loot, here's this, here's that. And it makes it a whole lot easier of a user experience. And I'll leave it there and I'll give everybody else time. Great stuff, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, well, the first thing is the first part of your video game reminds me is Super Meat Boy, which is one of my favorite games ever. It's a very simple game, too gross to explain it, but it is fantastic. I love Super Meat Boy, and I think that at the beginning it feels that the spirit of Super Meat Boy, a bit less, but there it is, and I think it's a great starting point. I think I love the element of variety inside a game. That doesn't mean that you are going always to do the same thing, but keep in mind what Sean said as well, that what is going to be the main part of this video game? What is the small game? What will be the big game? In the case of the space, which should be interesting, what you have to be careful is you need to always be in that space between not boring the player and at the same time challenging the player. So you always have to be in that space, and it's very difficult to keep the players there. And the best way to achieve that is testing it and showing to other people and say, okay, what do you feel? Is there anything at this point that I play for 2 minutes the game, and you don't feel that you're challenging enough, what is the other element that I should add? So keep also that in mind. And the other thing is, I don't know, are you planning in the design of this game to create evolution for the character? Like it's going to have more powers or something new as they progress?
Like, what's my goal? Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
So my main goal for this was like make it a little bit more like a cool space animation where maybe like the player has for the Space Unity, maybe like he could like explore, make the stars move, and then the player can like explore a little bit more about space. More like a little shorter levels to like see what the beginner is like. That was just basically a little bit my goal was to make like a space game where there's a lot of animations you can do on this one. Like you can see like when you're driving the spaceship, there's stars are like moving, and then the enemies are coming after you, and then you have to fight against the enemies. Same thing like Space Invaders, but more like a little bit more 2D visuals and Unity.
Okay, but no progression for the character, for the player.
Not half and half. So I'll say a little bit of the player and mostly the spaceship. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay. Guys,
well,
sorry to cut you off, Tony.
Yeah.
We have to jump to the next presentation because we have one more and we're slightly kind of running over time. Are you guys good to stay another 10-15 minutes just to give our next presenter some feedback as well? Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I would love it if you guys can continue this conversation, on LinkedIn or over email or something. But thank you so much for your feedback. I'm just going to quickly jump to the next person just so we can give everybody some time. Yeah, okay, I'll get everybody to exit the stage one last time, and I will welcome Orly on stage. Orly is going to be presenting Farmroot Valley.
Okay, are we ready? Okay, so hi everyone. Today I'll be presenting Farmroot Valley. So, okay. So my name is Aurélie, and I'm a bilingual game developer. I have an ISC, for those who know what it is, in programming, and I'm currently working as a front-end developer. My project is a 3D farming simulation built with Unity. It really started as a personal challenge. I wanted to design, code, and polish an entire. No, we're still in the. There was still the other slide. Yeah, I really I want to design, code, and polish an entire farming life loop from scratch, and which contains like farming, cooking, fishing, and animal care. I always loved games that mix creativity with resource management. So games like Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, Minecraft, Fae Farm, and uh, I I really wanted to go beyond just playing them. I wanted to understand how all those systems like fit together, and yeah. So Farmroot Valley at its core, it's really about connections because every activity feeds into another. So harvesting a crop gives you an ingredient for cooking. Then once you have a cooked meal, you can sell it for profit, and that profit can help you expand your farm, and which lets you raise animals that gives you new resources. So you got 5 main subsystems. So you got farming, which lets you plant, uh, water, and harvest. You can see on the second picture to the right. After that, you have no. Can you go back? Thank you. So after that, you have cooking, which lets you combine ingredients at a recipe table. You can see it's not very clear, but you can see it's the last picture on the left. After that, you have fishing, which is a mini game to catch a fish because I did not have an animation that worked for fishing, and I didn't have a fishing rod, I guess, a fishing pole. Uh, it's still the other. I'm not done. I'm sorry. And then you have animal care, which lets you feed and collect from chicken and cows. And you have the shopping and economy, which lets you sell produce, buy seeds, and expand your farm. So all these are connected through one shared inventory and interaction framework, which means that adding new content like furniture, NPCs, or more crops and stuff is fast and scalable. So my focus was really on keeping everything modular and expandable, while still making it like simple to play and really cozy because I do value a cozy game. So I developed the sorry, I developed this project over 5 weeks. So the week one was really my project setup. So I downloaded my assets, created my prefabs, set up my scripts and my scenes. I do have a menu scene, but you won't be seeing it. Week two was really core gameplay. So everything that was farming, because at first it really was just about farming. So farm interaction, seed inventory, crop growth. After that, you have week three, which I did the shop, the tree system, and everything that includes the trees, so like fruits, the pricing for buying those trees, and yeah. After that, week four, I added the animals, the eggs and the milk, and the cooking logic, and also the fishing. And week five, I added the UI, but I also added the placement system, which was really a last minute decision because I just thought that it would just be more fun, which you will see in the demo. And so yeah, instead of just adding like more and more features, I just really wanted to focus on stability. So just make sure that everything works smoothly before like going into more details. So now we can go to the demo. Yeah. I just want to say that there's prompts that I changed because you can see there was a prompt saying that I couldn't open the shop, click to open shop because the player was standing there, but I actually fixed it not long ago that you have to be close to the object and your mouse has to be hovering on it for it to have a prompt and to be interactable. All right. So my takeaways from this. So developing this project taught me a lot about system architecture and dependency management. For example, getting the cooking table to talk to the inventory and UI system required careful planning and clean communication through shared managers. So I really have a lot of scripts and they're really all connected through one thing. It's really hard to do. So I built a flexible interaction framework using a single I interactable interface. So any added object, whether it's a crop, a tree, or an animal, follows the same interaction rules and but with its own behavior. So overall, I learned to think in modular subsystems, like I said. I used interfaces and a singleton patterns to reduce dependencies and structure code that was clean, scalable, and easy to expand. So moving forward, I'd really like to expand Farmwood Valley with like more crops, more recipes, I'd really love to add furniture to the house and make it so you're able to go inside. I'd love to add NPC interactions, quests, and relationship, and also a richer progression loop with time and seasons. Sadly, I do not have time to implement save and load, but I would love to implement it so the players can actually progress through the game. But like for now, it's still small, so it doesn't really need it. I am looking for opportunities as a Unity or a gameplay programmer with a team that really loves to create like connected games and really cozy ones. And I'm also open to industry connections. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, here's my email and my LinkedIn. And thank you so much for your time. And I hope you enjoy exploring Farmwood Valley, a small world built from the ground up.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining the stage, and Orally, great job on your presentation. Every time I watch your demo, it's just so much fun. I love it so much.
Thank you.
Well, I'll open the stage for the Q&A, and yeah, you can get started whenever.
Aurelie, your game is fantastic. The first thing I'm going to tell you is it's really great. You take only 5 weeks doing that. I think that you should start promoting your game. And the reason is two. There are two reasons. The first one is because many people will be interested on the project that you are creating. It could be publishers, it could be investors, it could be peers that want to work with you in the same project. The cozy concept, of course, you remind us other games, but you're creating a very structured mechanic. The hook is very clear. The dopamine effect that this kind of games generates, it's a reality. They have to continue playing the game, and
Yeah,
this is
it was about that. Farm games are really like I always hooked on them, so I was really wanted to create that effect.
I love that you created the effect, but the fact that you presented so well and in 3D is fantastic. I love the fact that is 3D, which also opens more possibilities for you to finding job opportunities if that's the path that you want to take. If that's the path that you don't want to take because you want to create your own studio and this is your first project, it is a great starting point. So I have to tell you, I'm going to congratulate you on the job. Is fantastic. The loop is very clear. So I think that at this point you just have to show what you're doing and start collecting feedback from people, expanding your network. Your LinkedIn is too small yet. I think that you just accepted my invitation recently.
Yeah.
So keep expanding because yeah, this is looking very good, Orly.
Thank
Honestly,
you
it's
so
very
much.
good.
That means a lot. Thank you.
I'll jump in really quick. Yeah, awesome job. Super polished. Like you've got lots of great systems, and it's impressive that they're all working. My input, so my first bit of input would be keep going. If this is something you feel passionate about, don't stop. Unless you get to the point where you feel like it's not worth your time, but like see it through, finish it, even if you spend another couple months on it and you just put it out there, that's better than doing nothing. It's really rare in our industry to join a large company and start and finish a project. So if you have the ability to do that on your own, do it because it's incredible experience. And because you're so far along in 5 weeks, I think that, if you give yourself a time frame of like 6 months and call it done and put it out to the world, you would learn a ton from that. The other thing I would say, and this is just general advice for everyone that's listening, do your competitive research in this space. So I know that cozy games are they're very special in how they motivate players. Like why someone is drawn to a cozy game is very different than why someone's drawn to, say, Call of Duty. It sounds like you play lots of cozy games, so that's a good start, but really dig in and understand like why was Stardew Valley so successful? What makes all these other cozy games work so well, and make sure that you're meeting that bar at the minimum. And then advice I've given to other presenters here, find your hook. what's the thing that helps your game stand out, even if it's just something small, but it could even be the change in camera perspective. Like that could be enough. So just lean into that and find ways to make that a powerful part of your game loop.
I
That's
think
all.
for
Thanks.
sure. Thank you. But I think for sure that adding the stuff to the house, I really wanted to do that, but I think it was a bit of a stretch in the time that I had. So I really wanted to be it so that the players could go in the house, buy furniture, and like place their own thing. But I went first with the placement system because it was really boring. The fact that you'd buy a tree and it would instantly, I would just like the tree would always be at the same place. So I just went with that first, but definitely I do want to expand on that game. And yeah, so
Awesome.
Yeah, that's great stuff. I'll just combine my general notes with the stuff I got for you here. So yeah, it was already touched on. It's a popular, sought-after genre, and if you do it well, people are always hungry for more of it. It's like RPGs; they're just, after 40 years, they're not going anywhere. For me, Cozy is a little too slow-paced, but when I discovered that Rune Factory had like Cozy plus RPG combat, I like that was my niche there. I was like, oh, they should make a lot more of these games. But yeah, I think Tony will suggest, of course, the dopamine hits of like being able to grow things, letting it take time, hearing a sound, bling, like something to draw the user to the attention of like, oh, I'm over here cooking or I'm over here doing this other thing, but something else has come up and you want that. They're like, oh, so little time, and you have them rushing around, and then you can relax them. Their loop comes down, the sun starts to set. Now they can go in, and now that they've sold their stuff, they can customize the inside of their home. Minecraft does this very well, almost by accident, where they have like a creation and destruction cycle through day and night. And I think you could probably get away with something very similar. Great use of sound effects. So the other field of study that I do is called neuro marketing. And this is like, how to make all the key sounds to really get the user's attention, to make them want to buy and sell and do various things. A field to get into Cozy games might be mobile, especially if you're using Unity as your principal engine of choice. So, you could probably scale back the intensity of the visuals if you wanted to go in that direction. But again, passion is everything. Customization, like the ability to put customization into a game like this is truly excellent. It gives the opportunity for replayability and retention. And this is where I would go. I would force people to make choices in their playthroughs, like you can get the golden crop or the golden cow or the golden chicken, or something that just sort of shakes it up and makes them say, the next time I play, I might go a different path. I'll speed through the general notes here in the last 30 or so seconds. Mostly for everybody, build for the market. So this is what I think Michael was talking about. Explore the market, see what the market has available and where the demand is, and then build your hook accordingly. Like, I want to build a game that's an RPG, but what makes it an interesting hook? I want to build a Cozy game. What makes an interesting hook? Space Invader game. What makes it an interesting hook? When presenting, and you're going to be, as game designers, you are never going to stop presenting. If you build your own business, you're always going to be pitching. And this is for everybody. If you're not overly confident in presenting or talking, always be passionate. Talk about what you love, and you'll find that confidence really quickly. And for you, that was really simple. Aurélie? Yeah, I'm going to get it wrong. I apologize.
It's hard to say if you don't know French, but it's fine.
But it's the accents there. Social media is key. So this is something that Tony's been hitting on. Most of your attention is going to come from social media. You are one connection away from some of the best people in the industry. And that's always just one handshake from one person. So you never know who you're connecting to, and who they're connected to is going to give you an opportunity that you wouldn't expect. And most importantly, and all of you need to know this, get professional emails. Get rid of the numbers, get rid of everything else. Get something that's simple that can go onto a business card, that makes people feel that you take your professionalism very seriously. And it's the easiest way to open that first door, because it's the fastest way of saying, I'm professional, I'm looking for professional opportunities. Anyway, great game, great stuff. Yourself and everybody, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Right. I have a few notes I'm going to go through really quick. First of all, you mentioned that you're bilingual. That's a really good plus point. I would say I've worked in more than 5 different countries, and I can tell you that every country has a different culture. So knowing multiple cultures is going to be plus for your career. You also mentioned in your development approach was modular and expandable, and you're aiming for stability, which is a really good point. This is going to help you reduce or at least to delay what we usually call technical debt. So your project, your code base will not get complicated if you keep it modular and expandable. So keep doing that. That's great. Um, your game, by the way, I should have said this first, but Tony already mentioned. I have seen so many games out there that are polished and published, but don't look as good as yours. You have many features in it, so you do have a game that can be released as a published complete project. So but I would say that maybe you need to work a bit on the user experience, UI and UX side. I felt like there were in some features there were one too many clicks, so maybe improve on that.
Yeah,
um,
I don't know if you heard during the demo, but I did go back and change it because the demo is a bit old. It's like 2, 3 weeks old, but I did change it last week. And
yeah.
there's a lot of UI prompts that were changed. And now there's a raycast hit with the mouse click, and you have to be close to interact to get that prompt because I would get that prompt anywhere, and it was quite annoying. So it doesn't show in the demo, but it is changed, and I will keep doing changes
Yeah,
going
that's great.
forward.
As much as you can improve that, that will be great. um, so you've taken a lot of inspiration from Stardew Valley. I see. I play the Stardew Valley every night these days, so that's my go-to game for chilling and relaxing. I would say that go for like break down this Stardew Valley as much as you can. Pick each feature, each gameplay that it has to offer, and just replicate it. The game has so much depth. The game has so much depth in it. In each of the different mechanics, different game modes, you can just rebuild all of that in your game, and that will result in a very good project. There's nothing wrong to get inspired and build from it. So go for it. And one last thing, I want to mention this to everyone, is that one of the biggest advantage in this in our industry is that you can really practice incremental development. So Unity strongly supports that. Just build something, prepare a build, and release it, and test it out. So what you're really following is build, test, release, and get feedback kind of a cycle, and keep on doing that. That will really improve your overall project as you keep on building. And yeah, that's it.
I really appreciate all your feedback. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guest speakers. Thank you so much, students. I just wanted to congratulate all of the graduates and on their game development bootcamp. And I'll invite all of the students and guest speakers onto the stage now. And I'll just have Manur jump in just really quickly before we end today and just speak a little bit about our global network. But before that, I just want to give a huge thank you to every single person that was here today in the audience, all of the guest speakers for taking their time out. I know it's very, very special to us that you take that time out to support these students, and they value it a lot. So I really hope you know you're making a huge difference, and to the students as well for preparing their pitches and working so hard on their capstone projects. So thank you so much, everybody. Manur, you can jump in.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming in. And like Tia mentioned, it helps our students.
Special congratulations, everyone.
Manor is muted, just so you guys know.
Yeah, Manure, you're muted. We can't hear you.
You've been muted for a while now.
You're
Sorry,
continuing.
guys, little technical
Okay.
difficulties. Thank
Okay.
you.
From the beginning, please. From the beginning.
Yes, okay, I'll start my speech from the top. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And like Tia mentioned, it helps a lot to our students when you come in and give your perspective from an industry standpoint, because students know kind of what to expect during interview processes and kind of what to expect when it comes to the real life aspect of it, I guess. So this feedback, all of it is really valuable for them. And I hope you guys are all able to connect afterwards as well. I'll be sending out emails to bug all of you once again. For those of you in the audience that are not partners with us yet, we have several opportunities for you to partner up with us. We have speaking events that you could do, instructor roles that you can take on, hiring partners, and a whole bunch of things. So please reach out to me through the partnerships email, which is just right here on the screen. Send me any questions, and I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Awesome. Thank you everybody so much for joining us today. I hope you have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone.